Hello friends, good morning to all. Today we will discuss the relations among elastic constants. In our previous class, we have already discussed two relations out of four relations among the elastic constants, and these relations are, once again I am repeating, y is equal to 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma. The second relation is y is equal to 2 eta into 1 plus sigma. The third relation is 9 by y equal to 1 plus k plus 3 by eta, and the fourth one is sigma is equal to 3k minus 2 eta whole divided by 6k plus 2 eta. These are the four relations among elastic constants, out of which the first two have already discussed. Now our aim is to derive the relation among y, k and eta, where y is the Young's modulus of elasticity, k is the bulk modulus of elasticity or volume elasticity, and eta is the rigidity modulus of elasticity. Now our aim is to derive the relation among these three moduli of elasticity. To derive this relation, we have to take the help of the previous two relations which already discussed. So from the first relation we know that 3k into whole into 1 minus 2 sigma y equal to, and from the second relation we know that y equal to 2 eta whole into 1 plus sigma. Now since the left side of both the relations are same, then the right sides will be same, and hence from these two relations, okay, from these two relations we know that, and from this relation we can write y by 3k is equal to 1 minus 2 sigma, and this equation implies y by 2 eta is equal to y by eta is equal to 2 into 1 plus sigma. Now adding these two relations, we can write y by 3k plus y by eta equal to 1 minus 2 sigma plus 2 into 1 plus sigma. On expanding we can write this as 1 minus 2 sigma plus 2 plus 2 sigma. So it becomes as plus 2 sigma and minus 2 sigma get cancelled. This is 2 and this is 1, this is 3, which implies y by 3k plus y by eta is equal to 3, which implies if we divide this equation by y, then we can write 1 by 3k plus 1 by eta will be equal to 3 by y. Further, multiplying 3 on both the sides of this relation, we get 1 by k plus 3 by eta is equal to 9 by y. This is the required relation among the elastic constants y, k and eta, which are also known as the three moduli of elasticity. So the relation 9 by y is equal to 1 by k plus 3 by eta is the only relation among the different moduli of elasticity. Now out of four elastic constant relations we have already derived 3. The only one relation remained is the relation among bulk modulus k, rigidity modulus eta and the Poisson's ratio sigma. So Now we have to derive this only one relation among the elastic constants, and to derive this we have to take the help of the above two equations, from which we know that y is equal to 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma and y is equal to 2 eta into 1 plus sigma. And from these two relations, we can also write what? 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma is equal to 2 eta into whole into 1 plus sigma. Now expanding this, we can write 3k minus 6k sigma is equal to 2 eta plus 2 eta sigma. And our aim is to derive the relation among k, eta and sigma. To simplify this equation, let us take the quantities containing sigma to our left side and the rest quantities to the right side, so that we can write this above equation as 6k sigma plus 2 eta sigma equal to 3k minus 2 eta. Now taking sigma as common, we can write 6k plus 2 eta whole into sigma is equal to 3k minus 2 eta. Now from this relation we can write sigma equal to 3k minus 2 eta divided by 6k plus 2 eta. So this is the required fourth relation among the elastic constants. Here the relation deals with Poisson's ratio sigma, bulk modulus k and rigidity modulus eta. Now we have already discussed all the four relations among elastic constants, but one thing remained. Every time question arises, what is the value of this sigma, the Poisson's ratio? And it is theoretically proved that the value of sigma lies between -1 and 0.5. Then let us discuss why and how the value of sigma lies between -1 and 0.5. And this can be achieved with the help of these two equations. Now our aim is to find out the value of a sigma for which these relations are correct. And to get this, let us consider first the equation y equal to 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma. From this relation we know that y is equal to 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma, which implies y by 3k is equal to 1 minus 2 sigma. So from this relation, the second one, we know that y equal to 2 eta into 1 plus sigma. From this relation, we know that y is equal to 3k into 1 minus 2 sigma, and from the second relation, we know that y is equal to 2 into 1 whole into 1 sigma 1 plus sigma. From these two relations, we can write 3k into whole into 1 minus 2 sigma is equal to 2 eta whole into 1 plus sigma. Now we have to find out the value of a sigma. Let us first consider, if sigma is considered to be positive, then if sigma is considered to be positive, then the RHS of this equation will be positive, for which this left hand side must be positive, but the bulk modulus is always positive. That is why 1 minus 2 sigma is equal to positive. That means 1 minus 2 sigma must be greater than 0, implies 2 sigma must be less than 1, implies sigma less than half. That means the upper limit of the value of sigma must be less than half, which implies the value of sigma is less than 0.5. Further, if we will take sigma to be negative, then the left hand side of this equation will become positive. And if the left hand side becomes positive, then the right hand side must be positive. But the rigidity modulus is always positive. That is why the 1 plus sigma must be positive, that means greater than 0, which implies sigma is less than, sigma is greater than minus 1. Now, we can conclude that the value of sigma lies from less than 0.5 and greater than minus 1. That means the value of sigma lies between minus 1 and 0.5. That is, minus 1 is less than sigma less than 0.5. But most of the times it is practically seen that for an incompressible substance, K is equal to infinity. For an incompressible substance, the bulk modulus of elasticity is infinity. That is why if K will be infinity, then this factor will be 0, and if this factor will be 0, then 1 minus 2 sigma must be equal to 0, and if these factors become 0, implies sigma is equal to half. Sigma is equal to half. That is why practically sigma lies between 0 and half, but theoretically sigma lies between minus 1 and 0.5. Now, we have arrived at our conclusion that all the 4 elastic constants can be narrated in terms of these 4 equations, in which the 4th equation represents the expression for the Poisson's ratio, whose theoretical value lies between minus 1 and 0.5, and its practical value lies between 0 and 0.5. From these 4 relations, only the third relation, which deals with y, k and eta, represents the only relation among the moduli of elasticity. Dear student, if you are asked in the examination, derive the relation among the elastic constants, then you have 4 options and you have to derive 4 relations. But if you are asked to derive a relation only among the moduli of elasticity, then you have to derive only this one, which needs the help of other 2. So, in deriving the relation among the moduli of elasticity, we have to first derive the relation among y, k and sigma. Then we have to derive the relation among y, eta and sigma, and from these 2 we can derive the relation among the moduli of elasticity. Our today's discussion is to derive an expression for the twisting couple per unit angular twist of a right circular cylinder or wire. Twisting couple per unit angular twist of a right circular cylinder or wire. It is a very important topic. We have to find out the twisting couple per unit angular twist of a right circular cylinder or wire. To do this, what we have to do first? Let us first consider a right circular cylinder. Okay, let this is a right circular cylinder. Let this axis xy passes through the center of this right circular cylinder. The radius of this circular cylinder is r. What we have to do? We have to first consider a small element of the cylinder at a distance x having thickness dx. So, let we consider another cylinder of a radius of x and the thickness is dx. Thickness is dx. To do this, what is the trick in deriving this long question? My question is to derive the twisting couple per unit angular twist, that is we are asked to derive C. C is the twisting couple per unit angular twist, that is to derive this we have to first find out tau by theta. Then what is tau? Tau is the torque acting on this cylinder while we are twisting this. So, to derive C we have to first find out tau and then theta, and by dividing both of them we can get this. To find out this we should first find out d tau, and integrating this d tau we can get tau. Then what is d tau? D tau is the torque acting on the element considered. So, to find out the torque d tau acting on the element, what we have to do? We know torque is equal to force into distance. So, to find out d tau we have to calculate force into distance. Then how force can be calculated? Now, this force can be calculated as we know stress is equal to force by area. So, force will be stress into area. If stress is calculated and area is calculated, then by multiplying both of them we can get force, and if force is calculated, then by multiplying it with x, the radius of the element we considered, we can calculate d tau, and by integrating d tau we can get tau, and dividing tau by theta, the shear strain, we can get the torsional couple per unit angular twist. To do this, now we have to find out the stress tau, T stress. Then what does stress means? We know that rigidity modulus of elasticity is equal to stress by strain, and stress will be equal to rigidity modulus into shear strain. Okay. Now, we have to find out the shear strain first. This is the trick. Just see the ladder. Our aim is to find out the torsional couple per unit angular twist for which we have to find out tau by theta. Tau is the torque acting on the twisting torque. Then to get torque we have to find out d tau, and integrating it we will get tau. Then d tau will be obtained from the multiplication of force and distance, and force will be obtained from the product of stress and the area of a cross section, and stress will be obtained from the product of rigid modulus velocity and shear strain. So, to get this twisting couple per unit angular twist, we have to first calculate the shear strain acting on the cylinder. To get the shear strain, we have to twist the cylinder, and the twisting of the cylinder will be possible only when its upper face is fixed and the lower face is twisted by applying a tangential force. So, let us apply a tangential force at the lower end of this cylinder and let it be fixed at its upper end such that the lower end gets twisted. Let us consider the lower face as a point P and let another point P dash is here, and while we twist it make an angle theta at this point, and if we consider it will touch another point at the upper face which makes an angle of phi with arc P dash. Okay. What we have done? We have kept the upper face fixed and a tangential force F acts on the lower face so that the lower face gets twisted with making an angle theta at the lower end having arc P dash, and similarly this upper face also makes an angle phi with the arc P dash, but the length of the cylinder we have taken as L. Now we can write theta is equal to arc by length, that means this angle phi is equal to arc P dash by L, which implies P dash is equal to L phi, equation 1. Further, this is the radius x and this is the theta and this makes the arc P dash. Now we can here also write theta is equal to arc P dash by x, implies P dash is equal to x theta. Number 2. From equations 1 and 2, we can conclude that both the left sides are same P dash, so the right sides must be same. So, L phi is equal to x theta. L phi is equal to x theta implies phi is equal to x theta by L. This is the equation 3, and this is the shear strain. This is the shear strain. Now come to the trick. We have arrived at the lower point shear strain and we have calculated the shear strain x theta by L. Now it will be easy for us to calculate the stress. The stress T will be equal to eta into shear strain. So T will be how much? T will be how much? Eta into phi, which is equal to eta into x theta by L, equation 4. Now we arrived at this point T. So to get the force, what we have to do? We have to calculate the area, and the area of cross section. How much? We know this is the element considered which is circular in shape, having radius x and thickness dx. Now this area of this element will be how much? The length of the circumference will be 2 pi x into thickness dx. So area will be A will be equal to 2 pi x into dx. Now we can write what? Area A will be equal to 2 pi x into dx. 2 pi x into dx. A equal to 2 pi x dx. This is equation 5. Okay. We arrived at this point. Let us come to the trick. We have calculated t in equation 4. We have also calculated a in equation 5. Now multiplying this equation 4 and 5, we can get f. So let us calculate f. Now f will be equal to how much? Ta, which is equal to eta into x theta by L into 2 pi x dx. On solving, we can write f is equal to 2 pi eta theta by L into x square dx. This represents equation 6. 2 pi eta theta by L into x square dx. This represents the force. Now come to this point. We have arrived at this point. Then we have to multiply x with this force to get d tau. That means if d tau represents the torque acting on the element due to the force F, then this d tau will be how much? F into x. But from equation 6, we know that F is equal to 2 pi eta theta by L into x square dx. So d tau becomes as 2 pi eta theta by L into x cube dx. This represents equation 7. Now we arrived at d tau. So the task is only to find out tau, and then by dividing tau with theta we can get our target, our result. Okay, let us now find out the value of total torque acting on the cylinder due to the tangential force applied at its end. Okay, now tau will be how much? Integration d tau, and this can be written as integration 2 pi eta theta by L into x cube dx. Since 2 pi eta theta and L all are constants, they can be taken into outside. So this equation reduces to 2 pi eta theta by L, within integration it is x cube dx, which becomes as 2 pi eta theta by L, and the integration will become as x4 by 4. And the limit of integration will be how much? From 0 to r. So it can be become written as 2 pi eta theta by L r4 by 4 minus 0 by 4. So tau becomes as 2 pi eta theta by L into r4 by 4. and this is equation 8. Okay. Now, our aim is to find out C, which is the torsional couple per unit angular twist and which can be obtained if tau is divided by theta. Now, tau is this much. So, C, the torsional couple per unit angular twist is equal to tau by theta, and this is equal to 2 pi eta theta by L into R4 by 4 whole divided by theta. Theta theta get cancelled and 4 will be cancelled by 2 becomes 2. So, C will be equal to pi eta r to the power 4 by 2L. This is the expression. This is the expression for the torsional couple per unit angular twist of a right circular cylinder or wire. Are you clear? Okay. This is a very important question. Most of the time it is asked, and this question can be considered in our practical cases. That means, while using an axle, we will prefer a hollow axle rather than a solid one. You must have known axle in your bicycles, and those axles are always hollow in shape, and solid axles are never accepted. Then what is the cause behind it? Why hollow axles are preferred rather than solid axles? Because from this expression we know that the torsional couple varies directly with this much, and this is the case of a solid cylinder. And if we will take the case of a hollow cylinder, then in this place of R we can take the inner radius R and the outer radius, which can be termed as capital R. And in those cases, when hollow axles are considered, then this torsional couple will be more than the cases when we consider solid axles. That's why hollow cylinders are preferred than solid cylinders, because they have more torsional couple per unit angular twist, which will produce more torque, causing less effort to run the bicycle or that vehicle or that wheel, anything else. Okay. What we have concluded? The torsional couple depends on the radius of the circular cylinder, and in case of hollow, this torsional couple will be more, and that is why we will prefer hollow axles rather than solid ones. Okay. Let us consider the case of a hollow cylinder. What happens to the torsional couple due to a hollow cylinder? Let us consider a hollow cylinder having internal radius small r and external radius capital R. When we will calculate the torque, then we have to integrate over the limits small r to capital R, and we will get tau, which will be equal to integration of d tau, and this is equal to integration of 2 pi eta theta by L x cube dx from the limit small r to capital R. This is the only difference. Now, after integration, this becomes as 2 pi eta theta by L x4 by 4 from small r to capital R, and it can be written as 2 pi eta theta by L r4 by 4 minus small r to the power 4 by 4. So, the torsional couple becomes as tau by theta, which will be written as pi eta by L, whole into capital R to the power 4 minus small r to the power 4. This is the expression for the torsional couple per unit angular twist of a hollow cylinder. Let us consider the case why the transmission torque is more in case of hollow cylinders rather than solid ones. And here we have seen the torsional couple for hollow cylinder is this much, and for solid cylinder this torsional couple is pi eta, this is L, and this is pi eta r to the power 4 by 2L, and it is 2L. C is equal to that means the torsional couple per unit angular twist of a solid cylinder is C is equal to pi eta r to the power 4 by 2L, and already we have found the torsional couple in case of a hollow cylinder is pi eta divided by 2L into r to the power 4 minus r to the power 4. Let us term this as C dash, and this can be written as pi eta by 2L r to the power 4, r to the power 4 minus r to the power 4. Now let us divide C dash by C. Now C dash by C will be how much? This much divided by pi eta r to the power 4 by 2L. Pi eta by 2L get cancelled. So C dash by C will be how much? R to the power 4 minus r to the power 4 divided by r to the power 4. This is the expression for the ratio between the torsional couple per unit angular twist acting for a solid cylinder and for hollow cylinder. Now, if we will consider this one as R4 minus R4 will be written as R square plus R square into R square minus R square, okay, and this can be written as R4 minus R to the power 4. Here what we have got? C dash by C equal to R4 minus R4 by R4, for which we can write this one, then this can be termed as R square minus R square whole square, and R square minus R square get cancelled, for which we can write C dash by C will be equal to R square plus R square divided by R square minus R square. Since all are positive, because these are the radius, and R square plus R square is more than R square minus R square, and this becomes greater than 1, which implies C dash is greater than C, where C dash represents the torsional couple per unit angular twist in case of a hollow cylinder, and C represents the torsional couple per unit angular twist in case of a solid cylinder, and we have found that C dash is more than C. That means the torsional couple per unit angular twist is more in case of a hollow cylinder than of a solid cylinder. That's why while we are using the axles, we have to prefer hollow cylinders rather than solid cylinders. Dear students, today we have discussed how to calculate the torsional couple per unit angular twist in case of a solid cylinder, also in case of a hollow cylinder, and also we have discussed that the torsional couple per unit angular twist is more in case of a hollow cylinder than that of a solid one. So we have to prefer hollow axles rather than solid one. Okay, many thanks.